Y News with Darlene Basingan and William Theo.
Good evening. Tropical Depression Maring has exited the Philippine Area of Responsibility or PAR last night, yet the province of Laguna still has declared a state of calamity. Here's why from Victor Cosare.
Tropical Depression Maring has left millions of pesos of damages to agriculture and infrastructure and has affected thousands of families. This prompted the local government unit of Laguna to place the province under a state of calamity. Romel Palacol, head of the Laguna Action Center, and the PDRRMO says the storm has left 12 million peso in damages to roads and more than 6 million pesos to agriculture. More than 1,600 families, or equivalent to 4,400 individuals, were evacuated due to flash floods and landslides.
Pasok po tayo sa requirement ng dami ng tao. 20% ng population po. Then yung halaga po ng mga nasirang infra, yun po, nagintay lang po ng deklarasyon po ng calamity.
Areas severely affected include the towns of San Pedro, Binyan, Santa Rosa, Cabuyao, Calamba, Los Baños, Calawan, Bae, Nagcarlan, Victoria, Pila, Santa Cruz, Mabitac, Siniloan, and Pagsanhan. Aside from this, more than 200 houses have been washed out in the village of Parian, Calamba during the onslaught of the tropical depression and the flash floods coming from San Cristobal River.
Malaking tulong po ito. Ito po ay magiging daan ng legal na paglalabas ng pondo na agad na maaaring magalaw ito, magamit po upang sa mabilis na rehabilitasyon ng nasirang.
Based on the data of the PDRRMO, 2 were killed and 5 remain missing in the city of Calamba. Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Meanwhile, thousands of Metro Manila residents still remain in evacuation centers following days of heavy rains due to Tropical Depression Maring. Leia Ilagan tells us why.
Floodwaters has not receded yet in more than 130 areas in Metro Manila and Central Luzon. Heavy rains caused by Tropical Depression Maring have affected more than 2,000 families in the National Capital Region and Calabarzon Region. Based on the estimate of the NDRRMC, about 1,800 families affected by floods are still staying at 116 evacuation centers. The typhoon damages 9 houses, while several roads remain unpassable.
Meron pa rin po tayong ilang areas hanggang sa kasalukuyan ang hindi madaanan dahil po dito sa mga minor slides at pagtaas sa tubig dulot ng bagyo. Karamihan dito sa mga road sections natin ay matatagpuan sa rehiyon ng Calabarzon. Ito ay sa 3rd District ng Quezon, 4th District ng Probinsyang Quezon, 2nd District ng Cavite, at 3rd District ng Laguna at sa 1st District ng Probinsya ng Rizal.
At least 5 were reportedly killed due to Typhoon Maring. The NDRRMC says it did not fail in issuing sufficient warnings and reminders to the public about the effect of the typhoon.
Nagbigay na tayo ng ating babala sa ating mga kababayan. Nagbigay tayo ng mensahe ng paghahanda. Ang susi lamang dito sa ating mga mensaheng binibigay ang pakikiisa ng ating mga kababayan.
Meanwhile, the Department of Social Welfare and Development has prepared stockpiles and standby funds for those affected by the typhoon. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Camp Aguinaldo.
Families of the miners who went missing during the onslaught of the storm continue to grieve for them. Leslie Longboen tells us why.
Authorities have found the dead bodies of 2 minors swept away by strong water current in a river in Calamba, Laguna. The remains of 14-year-old Lawrence Murillo were found in village of Pasiano, Calamba in Laguna at around 6 in the morning today. Some residents found his body hanging at a bamboo in the river. The Calamba police say the teenager was playing when he fell in the river and was swept away by the strong water current.
Mga 9:30 pa raw ng umaga ito naanod ng malakas na tubig noong kasagsagan ng ulan dahil sa bagyong Maring. Pero napareport lang ito sa ating himpilan mga 4:30 na ng hapon.
Rescuers also found the dead body of 3-year-old Francine Jade Monge. She was found floating in Laguna Lake between the villages of Looc and Uwisan at around 11 in the morning today. Francine was one of the 2 members of the Monge family swept away by the strong water current from a swollen river yesterday.
Tatlo pa po yung nawawala sa akin. Ngayon nga po nakuha yung isa. Birthday niya kahapon, 3 years old lang po siya kahapon. Sabay naman siyang nawala.
2 other members of Monge family are still missing, whose ages are 5 and 1-year-old. 3 members of the Mendoza family are also missing. 2 of them are minors, and the other is 28-year-old Eden Mendoza.
Kasi sana buhay pa yung ko. Kaya tulungan sana ako ng mga manonood. At paano panalangin na makasurvive pa. Hindi ko po sukat akalain na magkaganon. Pati yung mga kapitbahay ko po, hindi rin nila sukat akalain na magkaganon.
Despite the strong water current in the Laguna Lake, rescuers will continue to search for the missing victims who were swept away in the river in Calamba. Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
And residents in Bulacan were allowed to return home after staying overnight in evacuation centers. Abby Santa Ines tells us why.
Floodwater in several towns in Bulacan have receded, prompting residents to return to their homes. The traffic situation along MacArthur Highway in Bulacan, particularly in the town of Marilao, has returned to normal. This was after the areas were hit by floods caused by heavy rains yesterday. The Bulacan Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council says there are now fewer areas in the city of Maykawayan that remained submerged in floodwater.
Kausap natin ang lahat ng DRRMOs ng mga bayan at lungsod. Normal situation po tayo. Meron po mga tubig na naiwan dun sa mga lugar na mabababa. Pero ano na po yun, mga passable po tayo lahat.
Residents of the village of Abangan Norte have already returned to their respective homes after temporarily staying at evacuation centers.
Nag-uwian na po dahil po bumaba ang tubig.
Hanggang tuhod po yung sa amin yung tubig baha. Kaya po mas pinili na po namin manatili dito na magpalipas po ng gabi. Okay pa po yung mga namin, mga anak po namin dito.
The management of Bustos Dam has already stopped the releasing of water from the dam. The water level in the 3 dams in Bukalanan remain normal. These are the Bustos, Ipo, and Angat Dam. There were no reported casualty or injured in the flash floods yesterday. Abby Santa Ines, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Commission on Human Rights still hopes that the agency's original proposed budget of 670 million pesos for next year would be considered. Meanwhile, some senators still support CHR's proposed budget despite the decision of the lower house of Congress. Rajaladora will tell us why.
Commission on Human Rights Chairman Chito Gascon couldn't believe that the lower house cut their budget down to only 1,000 pesos for next year. According to Gascon, it is obvious that the commission cannot function with this small amount.
Hindi talaga mapagkakasya yan para sa gawain ng aming opisina o tanggapan. Kaya umaasa kami na magkaroon pa ng pagkakataon sa proseso ng pagdinig sa Senado.
Bayan Muna Party List Representative Carlos Zarate is among those who oppose the budget cut. According to Zarate, it will not be good to abolish the operation of a constitutional body that functions to assure check and balance if human rights of the citizens are violated by the estate.
Magre-resulta ito ng mas lalo pang mga paglabag sa karapatang pangtao na tuloy-tuloy nating nilalabanan.
Some senators are also expressed opposition to the decision of the lower house. According to Senator Grace Poe, CHR should get proper support.
Ang apektado, mga empleyado, ang mga investigasyon na nakabinbin ngayon, importante sa gobyerno natin na merong balance of power, na merong kahit na salungat ang opinyon, ay masasabi nating nagbibigay ng tamang diskurso.
Mukhang hindi naman papayagan niya, no? Because the Constitution mandates ito. Siguro kahit na hindi man natin gusto yung manakaupo doon, it's a necessity.
The Senate minority is in favor of the 678 million peso proposed budget of the Commission on Human Rights.
The Senate, I would like to think, will not stand for the abolition of the CHR through
giving it a 1,000 peso budget.
Rigel Adora, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
A commuters group says it understands the reason behind the petition seeking to increase the minimum fare in public utility jeepneys. However, it insists the proposed fare hike should not be more than 1 peso. Leslie Longbowen tells us why.
Transport groups Pasang Mazda, FEDUDAP, ACTO, and others are preparing a consolidated petition to the Land Transportation and Franchising Regulatory Board to increase jeepneys' minimum fare by 2 pesos. This after prices of petroleum products increased again yesterday. The first 4-kilometer trip will amount to 10 pesos. 2 pesos will be added for the succeeding kilometers. The National Center for Commuter Safety and Protection meanwhile sees the 2 peso increase too much.
Commuters will be able to adjust to a 1 peso from 8 to 9. 9, wag naman muna kaagad 10. Pagdating na ng bagong jeep, pwede na yung 10.
The commuters group also appeals to equate the possible fare increase with better service.
Ang pakiusap lang, sana naman habang nag-increase sila, i-improve din nila yung service nila. Sana yung attitude nila, improve din nila.
For jeepney drivers and operators, the increase is reasonable.
Itong pagtataas na ito ay hindi na namin kaya pang sakupin na yung 8 pesos pa rin. Masyadong matatalo ng operator at jeepney driver para dito.
Mag-30 na mahigit ang 1 litro eh. Sa amin, pabor. Mas malaki na nawala talaga sa amin eh.
Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
In other news, the Department of Agriculture or DA prohibits 50 importers from operating. Secretary Manny Piñol says this came from the list of the Department of Justice following the investigation of the Senate on the existence of garlic cartel in the country. Prior to this, DA has blacklisted 37 companies for failing to import garlic despite securing import clearance. The secretary says the non-importation of the garlic resulted into the soaring prices of garlic last month. The Philippine Competition Commission is now studying the cases to be filed against those proven to be involved in garlic cartel.
Well, we have to ban them pending the results of the DOJ investigation and the filing of cases. Kapag na-exonerate sila, then we will also lift the ban.
Meanwhile, the poultry industry is still recovering from the effects of bird flu outbreak that hit central Luzon weeks after the culling OPCOP operation is completed. Here is why from Ray Pelayo.
Farm gate price of chicken remains low while the volume of supply is still high. The United Broiler Raisers Association said their fowls have grown overweight. The group adds that they are expecting large supply in the coming holiday season.
Puno na ang karamihan ng cold storage. Medyo mabigat pa ang laman. Mahaba-haba pa tong biyahe natin.
The Department of Agriculture wants raisers to take part in the control and marketing of their products. Secretary Manny Piñol says there are those who are taking advantage of the situation despite the crisis.
So they have a problem right now kasi sa merkado, ang bentahan ngayon ng manok 120, 130. Pero ang bilihan sa kanila 30 hanggang 50 lang live weight, no?
DA also plans to revise the protocol in handling bird flu outbreak due to its impact in the industry after all fowls in 1 kilometer radius were culled.
Pag tinamaan yung farm na yan, yun lang yung i-depopulate and the surrounding farms will just be monitored.
Piñol said aside from the 29 million pesos assistance given to the affected farmers, President Rodrigo Duterte also pledged to allot 100 million pesos for their livelihood. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Department of Transportation or DOTR considers returning 48 MRT train coaches to China. Here's why from Abby Santa Ines.
The Department of Transportation or DOTR has sent letters to 4 international certifiers to examine the construction of 48 new train coaches for the Metro Rail Transit or MRT bought by the Philippines from China. DOTR Undersecretary for Rail Cesar Chavez says the international third party will examine the 48 Dalian trains to determine its safety for passenger use. The process will take 3 months. Once the international third party finds the coaches not compatible to the signaling system of the current trains used in the MRT, the DOTR will opt to return the coaches to China.
Kapag sinabi nilang hindi operationally reliable, ibabalik natin sa China nang wala tayong gagastusin kahit isang kusing.
Aside from the signaling system, there are also problems on the wheels of the new trains, as these are bigger than the size of the rails of MRT. The 48 Dalian trains are worth 3.8 billion pesos. The Philippines has already paid an amount of 800 million pesos to the Chinese government. The DOTR says the Philippine government will not ask for a refund of the amount, but instead it will ask the Chinese to repair the trains so it could still be used in the MRT. It was in 2015 when the trains arrived in the Philippines. However, after 2 years, the trains remain unusable for the millions of passengers of MRT. Just this morning, MRT operations encountered glitches 6 times, whereas 2 passengers were slightly injured when the train suddenly stopped. In a Senate hearing earlier on the proposed 2018 budget of the DOTR, Senator Grace Poe says officials involved in the purchase of the trains should be held liable in court.
I think whoever is responsible, whether it was the supplier, we should take them to court, whether it's the one that made the decision. It is not a case of vendetta, it's a case of justice for the public that's been suffering.
We will be guided, ma'am, by your suggestion.
The DOTR plans to return the Dalian trains to China before the end of the year. Abby Santa Ines, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Next on Y News. The Armed Forces of the Philippines admit soldiers fighting in Marawi City are getting sick.
Experts assure enough supply of vaccines for Japanese encephalitis in case disease hits the country.
Defending champion PNP responder sets the bar high as UNTV Cup Season 6 officially opens. Y News will be right back. The impeachment complaint filed by Atty. Larry Gadon against Supreme Court Chief Justice Lourdes Sereno passed in the House Committee on Justice. However, the lawmakers dismiss a similar complaint filed by the Volunteers Against Crime and Corruption. Here's why from Grace Casit.
For those who are in favor of finding this complaint sufficient in substance, please rise.
The House Committee on Justice says the impeachment complaint filed by Atty. Larry Gadon against Supreme Court Chief Justice Lourdes Sereno is sufficient in form and substance. 30 congressmen voted to declare the complaint as such, while 5 voted against it. In the said hearing, Bayan Muna Party List Representative Carlos Zarate questioned the evidence presented by the complainant.
Even if you read the complaint, all the allegations are based on newspaper clippings. I don't think that is personal knowledge.
But Majority Floor Leader Congressman Rudy Fariñas says they have original copies of the documents from the Supreme Court.
The Office of the Clerk of Court and Bank is directed to furnish to Atty. Lorenzo Gadon certified true copies of the following documents. It lists down 20 documents, pati list of foreign travels of all lawyers of the Office of the Chief Justice.
Meanwhile, the committee dismissed the complaint filed by Dante Jimenez of VACC and Attorney Eligio Malyari of the Vanguard. Congressman Fariñas, one of the lawmakers who voted against it, says the complaint is not verified and not notarized.
Ang kailangan dyan, personal knowledge mo. And then, or culled from authentic records. Hindi naman yun ang linagay nila doon sa verification nila eh. So, ang kinopya kasi nila is yung pang-verification by 1/3 of all the members of the House.
The complainant requested the House committee to allow them to fix before dismissing the complaint.
If we could still rectify this form, because aminin natin, first time kami mag-file ng complaint against the Chief Justice.
However, the House committee says it does not want to waste time for an unverified complaint.
I declare that the second complaint, that of Dante Jimenez and the other complainant, already dismissed. What's next? I have already ordered the COMSEC to already send notice to the Chief Justice to answer.
In the next hearing of the committee, the lawmakers will determine if the complaint has probable cause, and the witnesses in the complaint will also appear in the said hearing. Gadon notes 6 Supreme Court justices will testify against the Chief Magistrate. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno is now forming her legal team and has designated a spokesman for the impeachment proceedings. The Chief Justice is also aware to face and refute the allegations against her. Roderick Mendoza will tell us why.
Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno is determined to face her impeachment complaint before the Congress. Last Friday, she designated Attorney Carlo Cruz as impeachment spokesman. He teaches constitutional law at UP, UST, and other universities, a bar reviewer, and son of late SC Justice Isagani Cruz. Sereno's legal team will be led by Attorney Alex Poblador, who defended Senator Grace Poe in the disqualification case last presidential elections.
Lalaban kami? Yes. Meron kaming laban? Yes. May papatunayan namin na walang visa o walang basehan ang mga allegation sa kanya? Yes. And I'm sure na kami naman siguro ay mapagbibigyan na maipresenta ang aming ebidensya.
Cruz says the Chief Justice is ready to refute the allegations in the impeachment complaint. Most, if not all of them, are baseless or were anchored on hearsay evidence.
Hindi porket merong chismis ay batayan na para ma-remove on the basis of impeachment. We have to be very careful here. Paratang madaling gumawa, prueba mahirap gawin, assuming na mapaprove. Meron pang isang obstacle yan. Yung bang na-prove na paratang, is it impeachable?
He says that while impeachment is political in nature, the Constitution must prevail. If Sereno has indeed committed an offense, it should be thrashed out in the right process and not through defamation in the social media or the attacks of the president.
She's taking this seriously, but she is confident that the Congress will act properly, or at the very least, the Congress, both houses, if the Senate would eventually be involved, would decide purely on the basis of what is indicated in the Constitution.
Cruz added Sereno has nothing to hide and all issues will be refuted in their reply to the complaint. Roderick Mendoza, UNTV, News and Rescue, Pasig City.
Meanwhile, more than 70 soldiers have been withdrawn from the battleground in Marawi City. Here's why from Leah Ilagad.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, admits dozens of soldiers on the battleground fighting the Mauti terrorists in Marawi City are getting sick. According to AFP spokesperson Brigadier General Restituto Padilla, 78 soldiers have been withdrawn from the battleground after contracting malaria, dengue, leptospirosis, and getting bitten by dogs.
Sa tagal na rin ang kanilang exposure sa elements, totoo may nagkakasakit tayong mga sundalo at ganoon din ang ibang ating mga kasamahan o ibang mga sibilyan.
Despite this, Padilla says the public has nothing to worry about as the sick have been treated in military medical facilities near the battleground. Soldiers in serious condition were also airlifted to the nearest hospital in Cagayan de Oro.
Kung ano ang rekomendasyon ng doctors natin sa battlefield, yan ay sinusunod kaagad. Kaya kung kinakailangan evacuate, na-evacuate kaagad. Nariyan ang ating mga kagamitan upang gawin yon, tulad ng mga helicopters.
Although the number of government troops on the ground has lowered, Padilla says did not affect their advancement to the stronghold of the Mauti group. In fact, Padilla says military clearing operation on the buildings occupied by Mauti has become faster. The military official also notes that just recently they were able to retake control of 23 buildings and 18 more last Saturday from the terrorists.
Ating sinisikap na matapos ang kaguluhan dyan sa Marawi sa pinakamadaling panahon na kakayanin natin. Pero tulad ng ating sinasabi pa rin ng mga nakaraang araw, mahirap magsabi ng eksaktong araw o takdang oras kasi may mga komplikasyon tayong hinaharap. At isa pa, ninanais nating ma-rescue yung mga hostages na patuloy nilang hamon.
Leia Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Aguinaldo.
The Philippine National Police, or PNP, clarifies procedures following reports that members of the media have been prohibited to check spot reports from PNP. Mon Hokson will tell us why.
The media plays a huge role in providing the public the truth about what's happening in the society, especially now that the government has a controversial campaign against illegal drugs. Members of the media usually get the information they need from the spot reports or blotters of the Philippine National Police. Based on the standard rules and procedures of the PNP dated February 18, 2014, members of the media are not allowed to get a copy of a spot report of crime that is still under investigation. This is especially true when the involved individuals are minors and women. Examples of this are the cases involving the deaths of Kian de los Santos, Reynaldo de Guzman, and several others. The PNP argues there are important information in the spot report that would compromise the case. The police say the media can still have the information they need through the press releases and statements of officials.
When it's an ongoing investigation, we will give you the updates. Hindi ho namin yan ibuburo. Pag may bagong lumabas, binibigay po yan. Ipinapaalam po sa publiko through the members of the media. Okay? So, yung pagbabalansi po yan na we will be very transparent, open. At the end of the day, hindi ho tayo nagbabiolate ng established procedure.
However, the PNP admits some cops are just giving copies of spot reports to members of the media, as they are too lazy to write a press release. According to the PNP, policemen who gives copies of spot report to members of the media will face punishment.
Yung iba ho medyo ayaw na hong mag-compose o maggawa ng PR, ang ginagawa ay binibigay. At nagiging very accommodating with the agreement that this is only for reference purposes. Hindi mo ipopost sa social media o ipopost mo kung saan-saan.
The police official, meanwhile, says the refusal of the president to give copies of case folders to the Commission on Human Rights is a different issue. He says they will continue to cooperate with other agencies to shed light on the alleged cases of extrajudicial killings in the country. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
The body believed to be of Reynaldo de Guzman was laid to rest at the Pasig City Cemetery this morning. This is despite the result of the DNA test of the Philippine National Police showing the cadaver was not a 14-year-old teenager. Kulot's parents Eduardo Gabriel and Lina de Guzman still stood firm that the body is their child's because of the wart on his left knee and scar on his neck. The body was found floating in Gapan City, Nueva Ecija with many stab wounds. The burial was made quick because of security threats to the family. Kulot's parents remain under the Witness Protection Program.
In other news, the Bureau of Internal Revenue, or BIR, orders the closure of a hardware store in Laguna in line with its campaign, OPLAN KANDADO. Abby Santa Ines tells us why.
The Bureau of Internal Revenue Laguna orders the closure of a hardware store in Los Baños after it was found to have failed to pay taxes for 3 years now. A BIR representative says they already gave notice to the owner, but the person did not respond to the notice. The hardware store has to pay 80 million pesos for taxes incurred from 2014 to first quarter of 2017.
Na-register ulit sa non-VAT. Pag non-VAT kasi yan, that is less than 1,919,500. But we proved to them after surveillance na talagang dapat they have to register as a VAT.
The BIR says the owner of the hardware vows to pay for the taxes within the 5-day deadline. Upon settlement, the store will then be allowed to operate. The BIR reminds establishments to pay proper taxes to avoid facing closure orders.
Tuloy-tuloy po ang programa ng BIR, lalo na sa mga ganitong klaseng taxpayers na hanggang ngayon na hindi pa rin tumutupad sa kanilang compliance nila sa pagbayad ng buwis.
OPLAN KANDADO is being enforced by the BIR to establishments and stores that fail to pay proper taxes. Abby Santa Ines, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Pediatric Infectious Disease Society of the Philippines says the public has nothing to worry about should cases of Japanese encephalitis be traced in the country. Here's why from Aiko Miguel.
There is no need to panic because, in fact, physicians have actually been giving the vaccine, at least in private practice, because it's recommended in our immunization schedule already since, like I said, 2016.
This was the statement of the Pediatric Infectious Disease Society of the Philippines to deny reports that there are fewer vaccines against Japanese encephalitis in the country. It says there is sufficient supply of the vaccine for the public, especially for the children prone to get infected by the mosquito vector Culex, which carries the JE virus. The sole manufacturer of the vaccine says they are ready to provide supplies to the Department of Health or DOH in case it decides to include it to their universal immunization program.
DOH is planning to include JE vaccination in their program, so we're also reviewing our trying to coordinate with our manufacturer if we can supply the required number of doses.
For mothers like Ellie Abenyo, she will not wait for the free vaccine from the DOH, especially since it is important to protect her child from the JE virus as early as now.
At first, medyo skeptical ako to get the vaccine. Pero this year nga, medyo dumadami yung parang reports na madaming batang namamatay dahil sa JE. So, yun talaga yung nagudyok sa akin na maghanap ng vaccine for my kid.
The DOH has also allayed concern of the public, especially since the case of the JE virus this year is not that high.
We have less than, we have 9 deaths this year. We have 133 confirmed cases out of 1,000 suspect or under surveillance. So there's no need for panic.
The DOH says the Japanese encephalitis can be transmitted through the cycle of mosquitoes, pigs, and water birds. The DOH reminds the public to immediately consult a pediatrician in case their children experiences fever, headache, fatigue, vomiting, confusion, which may result into seizures, paralysis, and comatose. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Defending champion TNP responders sets the bar high as UNTV Cup Season 6 officially opened last night at the Araneta Coliseum. Monokson tells us why.
Oh, yes, sir. With Umibig sets fires.
The Big Dome was once rumbled as the UNTV Cup Season 6 formally opened last night. The first game of the league saw the defending champion PNP Responders and the BFP Firefighters battled for the first win in the season. The Responders was led by two-time MVP Olan the Sniper Obiping towards victory, contributing 23 points, 5 rebounds, 4 steals, 3 assists, and 1 block, making him the best player of the game. While Anton Tolentino with 18 points and Roder Ongutan, who made 12 points, also helped the Cup's win.
Talagang yun yung mission namin, defend the cup. Yun ang defend the cup. Pinakita lang namin yung camaraderie namin, yung talagang pagiging buo namin, na kilala na namin ng bawat isa, alam na namin ang laro ng bawat isa. Kahit wala si Harold Santa Cruz, injured si Julius Christe, may mag-step up para sa amin lahat.
Meanwhile, many were surprised upon witnessing the big improvement within the Firefighters lineup. An addition to the roster is 6'5" Phil-Am ex-pro player Robert Wainwright, who bagged 21 points, 7 boards, 2 steals, and 1 block.
Medyo nabigla kami sa laro at saka yung preparation namin, very lack of preparation kasi bago lang nabuo yung team namin. So yung gelling namin, hindi pa ganun kabuo.
And on UNTV Cup, no team comes home empty-handed as cash prizes of up to 8.5 million pesos awaits the non-winning teams. 14 teams vie for a championship prize of 4 million pesos to be given to the chosen beneficiaries.
We're looking forward sa mas masiglang ating UNTV Cup Season 6 dahil may mga nadagdag tayo na mga teams and hopefully mas marami ngayon matutulungan ng mga charity dahil bawat isang team naman nakasali kahit na hindi pa sila nananalo meron na din silang talagang maiuwi para dun sa mga charitable institutions na pinili nila.
One of the partners of the League of Public Servants, Members Church of God International, also took part in the event.
Yung pagsasanay ng katawan ay may kaunting pakinabang. Bodily exercise, according to St. Paul, profiteth little. But godliness is profitable unto all things, having promise of the life that now is and of that which is to come. Naniniwala po kasi kami na ang paggawa ng mabuti, laging ang bunga nito mabuti. Mabuti sa tao na gumagawa at mabuti rin doon sa ginagawa niya ng kabutihan.
Mon Hokson, UNTV, News and Rescue, Philippines.
Coming up on Y News, a number of domestic and international flights have already been canceled in Taiwan as it braces for Typhoon Talim.
North Korea warns the United States of a more drastic move following stiffer sanctions imposed by the UN Security Council.
And the viewers of Kuya Daniel's Isang Araw Ikatatlong Yugto in Japan share personal experiences after watching the advocacy film. More from Y News after this break.
Viewers of Isang Araw Ikatlong Yugto in Tokyo, Japan say they can very much relate to the characters in the film. Here's why from Danny Tixon.
Chikako Ichikawa, a Japanese national, admitted she was touched by the theme of Kuya Daniel Roson's movie, Isang Araw Ikatlong Yugto. Though the movie was screened in Filipino, she said she knew that the movie was promoting good deeds by the actions of the characters, and she was amazed.
まずこの映画はとても良い映画だと思いました。なぜならば自分で必要な薬をやめてまでも人のために差し上げるっていうところがすごくいい部分だと思いました。なので私もそういうことが少しでもできればいいなと思います。で、今まで見てきた映画のとは違ってそういった教えることも内容と入っているので皆さんもぜひご覧になっていただきたいと思います。
Other members of the audience also say they can relate much from the characters of the movie, like Alfredo, who was a former drug dependent, and Hiroshi, who was once a hard-headed son.
Actually, relate po ako sa pelikulang to kasi once upon a time naging drug dependent din po ako pero maraming salamat po talaga sa Diyos. Talaga pong naliwanagan po ako sa mga aral po na akin natutunan po.
I think ako yung si Devo, yung anak ni Senator kasi doon ko na-realize na pagtanto yung ginawa ko rin sa magulang ko. Pagdispeto, yung kalayawan lahat na binigay sa akin, ba't ko hindi ko pa rin nire-respeto yung mga magulang ko.
Meanwhile, Consul General Jocelyn Ignacio believes the movie can serve as a tool to motivate other people to do good and also to make a person realize that change is possible.
Bibigyan ka ng pagkakataon na mag-isip-isip, which is a good thing. You have to reflect on your daily life, no? kung anong kabutihang pwede mong gawin, kasama na rin dito yung kabutihan na pwede mong gawin para sa lipunan mo.
Everyone agrees that this film is indeed world-class and worth watching. No doubt that it's well accepted by viewers from all walks of life in any country. It is screened just like here in Japan.
Kuya!
Naniting Zone, UNTV News and Rescue, Tokyo, Japan.
Those are the reasons behind the news September 13, 2017. I am William Theo.
Reasons we delivered to you as they unfold. I'm Darlene Basingan.
Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Thank you for watching
Why News.